Hi everyone. In this video, I am using some paper that is new to me. This is the Windsor and Newton 100% cotton watercolor paper. And I like to try out little sketchbooks so I can figure out if I really like a paper or not. And that will help me determine if I should buy it in larger blocks and if it's something I'm going to enjoy working with. This sketchbook size is very small. It is probably the smallest one that I own. So it's like 7x5 or something like that. It's really tiny. First thing I noticed about this paper when working with it up until this painting was that it bleeds a lot. So it likes to hold on to water. It has a tendency to do the backwash thing a lot. And this might be extremely helpful or beneficial to people who like to do botanicals or landscapes. I can see it being very useful for skies. Portraits, not so much unless that's your thing. Backgrounds, hair, irises. I kind of like that effect. But I don't like, cleaning up 2/3 of the time I'm painting, which is a little bit annoying. So every time I would, lay too much water down, I'd go in and soak it back up and try to make sure it didn't bleed into the color that I laid down. And so even though I knew this paper was doing that, and I adjusted by using more synthetic brushes that held less water, it was still giving me a problem. So, yeah, that's kind of my take on this paper. Although it really lifts well, and that's not always the case with cotton paper. Sometimes it stains because it does soak up pretty quickly, and because this paper doesn't, then it lifts pretty nicely, and it lifts evenly, and the integrity of the paper is still very much intact. So if you like bleedy effects and use a lot of lifting techniques, and I don't mean just for like cleaning up mistakes, but like erasing areas to get highlights and stuff, it's pretty good. Now, I struggled a lot with two things. So the size of this paper often makes it to where I'm cutting off the bottom portion of the face, and I kind of have to make the chin and the jaw align with that in a way that doesn't look weird. But, it's kind of difficult to do. All these little sketches that I do in these sketchbooks are simply to figure out my supplies and my techniques, and that's why they tend to kind of look a lot alike, and because I'm not trying too hard with the compositions or the subject matter. I'm just trying to figure out some logistics. So when I work on something larger, then I have more room to explore the composition and the elements, and maybe try out different angles and perspectives of the portraits themselves. So I'd like to start doing more profiles. They're not my favorite to actually execute, but I do like the way they look. So I'm going to work on that some more, maybe even for my little sketchbook studies. But so this paper it's not bad. It just it's got a learning curve, like a lot of different watercolor papers do. And I like the end result. The paper has a really nice finish, and once everything is dry, it tends to even out a little bit more, and it's got a luminosity to it that is quite nice. But for the most part, I'm not sure, unless I was doing a bunch of landscapes, that I'd repurchase this, especially in a block. So I really struggled with this right eye. The left eye was okay, it wasn't giving me much trouble, but because I had flooded this right eye so much, I kept having to go back in and lift in the white areas, or the whites of the eyes. So Payne's Gray is a color that I use a lot for doing irises and lining the eyes because it's relatively dark, but when it's lifted, it does produce a nice muted, white of the eye tone. And so, yeah, that's a little tip when you're doing eyes, to use Payne's Gray. If your Payne's Gray contains a lot of phthalo, though, it's a version, I don't know who does that. I'm not off the top of my head. I don't know which brand, but some do. You should check for that. That will not lift easily. Typical Payne's Gray has ultramarine and burnt umber or burnt sienna in it. So those are very liftable colors. But yeah, I ended up going in with a little bit of my M-gram white gouache to adjust the highlights of the eyes, and then I just kind of dispersed a little bit on the nose and lips just to make it cohesive. But I really, for all the struggles that I had, I wasn't too disappointed in, the end result. It was just a learning curve thing. So yeah, anyone who wants to try this paper or has tried it, I'm interested in your opinions or what your experience is with this paper, and I hope you're having a great day, and I will catch you in the next one.